We are obviously, I think, the last ones to go. Looks like they saved the best for last. I mean, that's what I just want to tell myself to console myself. I definitely expected a much larger turnout, but I understand it's been pretty late and people want to go home. So we'll try to make the most of this. We'll try to keep it crisp. What we do want to show you is a kind of a little bit of a hands-on experience, and we're going to have somebody from the audience come over here and build an agent, live in front of you with my colleagues, Pushkar and Ronak. But before we go into that, let me just kind of, introduce you to what it is that we are going to talk about. When we say agent force, what does it mean? And again, I want to thank you again. You guys are really kind. Thank you for staying back, and hopefully you'll find this useful. I think, one of the fundamental, shifts that we've seen even within generative AI is that we think, we are now firmly in the era of what we call as, agentic computing, right? We've all had, chatbots and things like that for quite some time. And then we moved into the era of, digital assistants for the last, 18 months or so. And now I think, we are really in the phase where digital agents are going to work alongside human beings to really, produce phenomenal, productivity, efficiency, scale, a great level of accuracy in, delivering tasks and outcomes, for our customers. So we think that, we are in that space, and that's really the purpose of this presentation, is to show you how to actually go about building an agent. Now, so why are, agents so important? Because, we think that, again, workforces, across all industries, and a lot of the surveys that we've done show that workforces are definitely overwhelmed, right? There is enormous amount of data that's being collected, especially if you are in a country like India. A lot of the transaction volumes have skyrocketed. The number of customers you have to onboard has gone up. Therefore, the service issues that come as a result of that have already, become really quite astronomical, putting a lot of pressure on agents and really representatives across multiple functions under a lot of, pressure to deliver, the outcomes that customers have come to expect from us. Therefore, this is leading to, what Salesforce has really put together is a platform, right? At the end of the day, an all encompassing platform for you to create, build agents, deploy them at scale, and then and really scale them across the entire organization. That's really what we are talking about. Fundamentally, there are some differences about what does why it is an agent, right? There's obviously context. It has memory. It has reasoning. It has, of course, a lot of guardrails around it, so that it doesn't just go off and do what it pleases, but rather somebody like within the organization is defining what the job should be for an agent. It's just like hiring a new person. When you hire a new person, you say, hey, this is the job description, these are the responsibilities. In a similar manner, you're going to be defining something similar in terms of what are the jobs to be done by that particular agent, right? So all of these capabilities are there, and of course, we are going to be shipping a lot of, pre-built agents over a period of time, but you can definitely, use your own, needs to build an agent that is specific to your organization. Now, so what does this mean? If you want to peel the onion a little bit further, what it is going to do is, like I said, we are going to, ship a lot of agents out of the box, which you will be able to deploy in your organization. It's almost like, ready-made agents, right? You can also configure them, make it a little more tailored and customized to your organization needs. And again, you will see through, what Ronak and Pushkar are going to show you in a little bit, that how you'll be able to configure this without any code, right? If I were to contrast this presentation with a couple of presentations ago, it was full of code and this and that, and you're going to see something exactly the opposite in our case, right? And, these agents, of course, ultimately are going to help, employees internally, but, eventually these agents will also be, facing customers, and they'll be able to take actions and, deliver outcomes on their own as well, right? A lot of the agents are already available today, and, of course, we'll show you a little bit of a sneak peek of, some of those agents today, yeah? So just moving on, I wanted to just, flash this architecture, slide, because there is a lot of, things that we are kind of, doing behind the scenes, right? And again, our approach in Salesforce is to try and, keep this as business user friendly as possible. And leave the complex, tasks to, IT guys. But from a business perspective, you should be able to deploy these agents, depending on the needs of your function and your business in the quickest, manner possible, right? And that's really has been our sort of, ethos and philosophy from day one since we started about 25 years ago, right? So there is obviously a fundamental, infrastructure layer that we call Hyperforce. This is again, the sort of the public or rather, platform as a service that is hosted on, some of the hyperscalers. You have data cloud. This is where we bring all the data together. We harmonize the data and make it available to all parts of the organization. And there are models, right? There are plenty of models out there. You heard some of them. Some of them are open source. Some of them are closed source. So we are going to give you a choice of, whatever models that you think is going to is suited to your business needs, right? And in fact, you can even build your own model. You can bring your own lake, right? All of these capabilities are available so that you have the maximum amount of flexibility. Once you have that, this is a very important component right in the middle called as the trust layer, right? Which is to ensure that all the sort of the constraints or the risks and the flags and the fears that we have about LLMs, and I think a lot of them are well documented, so I won't go into that. But we are making sure that for enterprise class AI, this is something that we absolutely need to make sure that we don't go wrong on that, right? We eliminate toxicity. We, address bias. There is an audit trail, right? We reduce hallucinations by, using techniques like, RAG on the data cloud, right? So whatever we can do to ensure that the data is grounded, the prompts are not sending out any confidential enterprise information to the publicly, hosted LLMs. So we are going to do everything in our power to ensure that, the data is safeguarded, it is private, it is confidential, and we treat it like mission critical data, right? So, and again, this is a evolving field, but we are trying to do everything we can. And I think we are probably one of the few vendors out there that has invested, so much of, sort of time and energy in that middle layer, right? Because we think that that is ultimately going to be, really, critical for, you to deploy agents at scale in your organization without, risking yourself, and also be compliant with regulatory sort of, policies and other, things that may be, in place in our country, right? And then finally, a layer for you to build, this is the sort of the development environment that you will. There are, templates, there are model builders and so on and so forth. And ultimately, these agents are going to be sitting on top of it, consuming all of the data coming in and doing, various tasks side by side, along with, human beings. So again, just to set a fundamental definition of agents, there is again a lot of, definitions, flying around. But I do think that, as agents become more and more mainstream, it is important to have some sort of a common definition or a dictionary for what it means, right? So there is a role. Like I was saying, if you hire a human being for a customer service representative job, you're going to define what the role is. Similar to that, you need to define what the role is for that particular agent, right? What data can it access? What knowledge are you going to give it that agent so that, it knows what to do with that data? What actions is it going to take, right? This is again the fundamental, definition between an agent and an assistant is that, it is going to take, actions. And then what are the guardrails? What are the boundaries within which it needs to operate? And then where do they work, right? Is it going to be within a chatbot application? Is it going to be through a voice-based application? Or is it going to be on the website? Or, some other, form of interface, right? So these are the defining characteristics of an agent. So what I'm going to do is really, skip through this in the interest of time. I'm going to ask my colleagues, Pushkar and Ronak to come on stage and actually, take you through the steps, right? And you'll see that, an environment, any organization will require multitude of approaches, right? In some use cases, maybe a chatbot will be good. In other use cases, maybe you need an assistant to help a human being. And there could be other cases where, autonomous agents, could be, deployed. And we see an environment where all of these approaches are going to be required. But, at the end of the day, Agentforce and Salesforce is going to be the only platform you will require to build all of these approaches on the same platform, right? So I think that is going to be the big advantage that we are going to be able to deliver to customers like, yourselves, and let's see that in action, yeah? So let me just, turn it over to these guys, please take over, yeah.
Thank you, Sridhar. So very quickly setting the context, we are taking a use case where a prospective customer is visiting your website and looking to transfer a home loan, right, which is existing with another NBFC at a higher rate of return. Now, as I launch my customer-facing agent, agent can be deployed not only on your website, but on your WhatsApp and other channels like your mobile app as well, right? So agent is suggesting me that, okay, my agent is grounded on the LTFS website, and these are some of the queries that you can possibly ask for. In the interest of time, I will just copy paste a few prompts saying that I want to transfer my home loan to L&T Finance. Now, as I do that, it needs some information about me, right? Because depending on the income type, be it salaried, business, the response will change. And here it is asking me, okay, so may I know if you are a salaried or a self-employed person? I say, I am a salaried person needing a 50 lakh worth of home loan. Now that it understands that I am a salaried person, the response will be contextualized to that particular type of income only, right? So it is now actually going through the knowledge base articles that you have provided to the agent and coming up with a response. And let's see what is the response. What is the required document? What is the processing fee for transferring the loan? And what are the documents that you would require? While it is also asking me and prompting me, do you would want to check the eligibility before you kind of proceed? And I say, yes, I would want to know the eligibility. So we are in a way guiding the customer to take the next steps as well. So here I'm saying, yes, I would want to know the eligibility, and what it is now asking me of some information to get the eligibility score, which is full name, mobile number, PAN number, etc. Now, I am not doing any contextualizing of this data, but just comma separating the information in an unstructured format, but the agent is still able to comprehend that, which is the first name, mobile number, PAN, Aadhaar, etc. already. While it is capturing that information, mapping it to the right set of fields in Salesforce, it is also taking a lot of actions. Actions like triggering a credit bureau check, calling the BRE to check my eligibility based on the CIBIL data and the PI information that I have just provided. So let's analyze this response a bit, right? It is telling me that the home loan eligibility, while I asked for 50 lakhs, it is based on the BRE that is built into Salesforce. It is saying that 45 lakhs is what we can offer you, at what percentage of interest, for what tenure, and it's also calculating the EMI amount, the processing fees, so on and so forth. As part of the response, it is also telling me what are the next steps that I need to take. So the last step, it is saying that would you like to create an application? Now the agent is not only answering all the queries, but also creating an application in Salesforce LOS, right? As I say, yes, please create my application, what you will see is with the PI information that agent already has captured, it goes to the Salesforce CRM and creates an application. So let me just quickly switch to Salesforce to see if the application is created. I'll just refresh the screen, and we should see a new application that is generated in Salesforce, right? So here you see there's a new application at 6:19 p.m. that's just got created. Now RM can actually get quickly started on actually collecting the physical documents if required, or the verification can directly get initiated, right? So we have saved a lot of time of collecting PI information, doing credit check, quick eligibility, all that could have taken days are now concise to a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
So now moving to the second use case. So you said everything is hunky-dory in English. 20% of India population only knows English. So what about regional languages? So I'm just taking an example of a farmer who is now leveraging WhatsApp, because he will never come to a website and start with chatting with an agent. So that's where the fifth attribute which Sridhar mentioned, this can be deployed on any of the channel. It could be a website, it could be an app or WhatsApp. So assuming I am a farmer, I am on WhatsApp. So here, instead of English, he's just asking, he can converse in Hindi. So here, just an example, we have two products, Kisan Suvidha loan and Kisan Samruddhi loan. So agent can respond in the language which the question was asked by that particular farmer. So here I'm just leveraging Hindi as a language, and that's where the question was asked, Kisan Suvidha loan or Kisan isme kya difference hai? So this is where the context which is provided is in Hindi. The interesting thing to point out is the data, which was the third pillar which was mentioned, the data which was leveraged to respond to the customer is the website which we have leveraged. But the LLM understands the question was put in Hindi, it contextualized the language, it converted the response from English and responded back into the language which the customer was responding it to.
Right. So while it looks great from the customer facing experience side, let us dive deeper into how easy it is to build this agent, and we would want to invite Hitesh from L&T Finance team to build the bot with us. Please, a round of applause for Hitesh. All right. So this is the backend where we can build bots and the use case. So Hitesh, let me just set it up for you. The use case is, this is one. Yeah. The use case is that we want to enable the agent to answer to loan delayed payment charges that were applied on a customer. Now this is a customer servicing use case where an existing customer has been charged with delayed payment charges and we need to create a new agent. So the first step is to open the, create a new agent and give a name to that particular agent and a brief description so that we can identify what this agent does. Right, so we are adding label and description, and Hitesh, we can click on create. With the click of a button, the agent is deployed. If we can open the agent very quickly and open that into a builder mode. Perfect. Now, as a human, if there's a new call center agent getting onboarded, you would say these are the 5-10 topics that you can talk to customer about. Just like that, we will train the agent to add new topic. So please click on new topic. And the topic that, like we discussed, is loan repayment, and you can leverage this script to just quickly copy paste so that we save on time and hopefully you can beat Mumbai traffic. But all of this is in natural language, right? So we are giving a topic label as loan penalty charges, a bit of classification description, and the scope, where the description is engage and interact with the customer regarding the loan payment charges. As we copy paste that, we need to provide a scope so that it doesn't hallucinate and go beyond what the scope of work is. And the scope is your job is to interact and answer questions only related to penalty charges, and this is where we are putting in a boundary to agent so that it doesn't go beyond that. Now that we have defined the basic topics, the classic scope and the classification description, we can add set of instructions saying that whenever customer wants to know about penalty charges, authenticate that customer with a customer ID or a loan account ID. Right? So that's the natural language instruction that we are giving. You can skip this and say finish for now. And we should see some topic labels getting created. Perfect. If you can open the topic label so that we can add more instructions, just asking the customer ID is not enough. We will add more instructions, and the next instructions that we want to add is fetch the details of the customer on what is the penalty charges, when was it charged, why was it charged, and by etc. So we are in again natural language defining that please fetch the details and show it to the customer. If after sharing the customer charges, if the customer is unhappy, which naturally he will be, and mind you, if it's only by a few days, allow the customer to create a case, because within our policies, let's say if the use case is, if it is delayed by not more than 5 days, I can still reverse the charges, and if it's the first instance that has happened ever. Now again, natural language instructions, we can just say that only allow the customer to create a case if the delay is only by few days. And don't highlight loan agreement, don't throw legal terms to the customer which he will not be able to understand, right? So once we have given all the instructions, we can just save the bot. While you train a human agent, you will also say that if this happens, you have to take action in a particular Salesforce screen or a third-party screen and input this data, create a case, refer to knowledge base. So while we have given the instructions, actions needs to be defined, right? And actions on Salesforce is using low-code tools like Flow Builder or a Apex code or even a prompt builder where we are sending more information to LLM and fetching some responses as well. In this case, we will answer the question with a knowledge article. We will create a case of type penalty, and we will fetch account details because account details might need to come from a LMS system, right? We are not going deeper into actions, but most of it is low code, no code. But if you wish to use pro code of calling APIs, talking to third-party systems, all of that is possible. Now that we have defined the actions, if you can just activate it before we go there. Perfect. So the bot is ready. Now let's see that in action. We'll just refresh the screen so that it is a new session that gets launched. And now as a customer, Hitesh, now that you have built it, let's see the output also with your own hands. So, perfect. If you can scroll down, so you can skip this because we have already done this. Yeah. So I want to know why I have been charged a penalty on my account. Now, based on the instructions that we gave, which is to ask for a loan account number or a customer ID, the agent will ask for those details. Perfect. Now, if we can give that identifiable information of the loan account number, with this, it will in real time call LMS APIs to fetch the last, whatever we have defined in the action, which is last 10 transactions, and if there are any type charges that are there on this loan account number. So it will make that API call, fetch the details, convert it into a natural language and summarize it for the customer, saying that this is the loan account number, this was the due date, which was 15th October, you paid it on 17th of October, which is a couple of days of delay, and according to our loan agreement, the penalty is due for you. But I have been a loyal customer for 10 years and this is the first instance that I have missed this payment. Can you reverse this charges for me? While we have not allowed the bot to take an action, and if you wish to allow the bot to take an action or agent to take that action of reversing the charges, that is also possible. But here we have not allowed it to happen, and what we are doing is creating a case at the back end. Yes, you can say yes, create a case, and it will actually create a customer complaint case, by default categorize it in the right bucket, assign it to the right team, which will again save hours of effort by a human agent. Hitesh, with this quick build, our jobs are at stake. Hope you don't get an offer from Salesforce.
So a huge round of applause for Hitesh, guys. And I want to say something, in a slightly lighter vein. I think he's a Windows user, okay? Using a Mac proved to be more difficult than actually building an agent. I mean, he really just picked it up very quickly and he said, no, I get it, and he just went through the flow. But for him, getting used to a Mac was probably a little more difficult than actually building an agent. So really, kudos and appreciate you being such a sport, Hitesh. Yeah, thanks.
So we just saw one of the examples of Agentforce, which was a service agent. But just like Sridhar pointed out, we can create multiple agents, a banking agent, an underwriter agent, a wealth agent. So in my next scenario, I just want to give you an example of an underwriter agent. So this agent will assist your internal workforce, which are your underwriters. So what we have seen is underwriters are doing a lot of monotonous jobs. examining each and every KYC documents which have been assigned to each and every application, opening the document. Sometimes the CIBIL report can go into 20, 30 pages. But is there a better way where it can assist the underwriter in an autonomous way? So this is where I just want to showcase you a couple of use cases. So assuming I've just opened Salesforce and currently you can see the loan application is an underwriting stage. So instead of going through each and every document which is attached in this particular application, the underwriter can converse with the documents. So the first conversation is, can you show me the transactions in the month of September? So this loan application has 6 months of bank statement which is attached here. So instead of going through each and every month, he can just target a particular month and the summary will be given to him. Similarly, Form 16 which has been attached to that particular application, it could be a CIBIL report. So you can see intuitively the underwriter can ask questions related to any document which has been attached on that particular loan application. So this is where we want to showcase you the example we saw structured format. This is where unstructured format can come into picture, and leveraging the RAG, the response is provided. So you can see the Form 16 summary is there. Similarly, just example, can you show me the largest UPI transaction? So just to highlight, so I had asked a couple of questions. Can you please summarize CIBIL report? So the 20-pager CIBIL report was just summarized in one single para. So the credit code was 659, multiple accounts in that particular applicant, so on and so forth. So similarly, you can see instead of going through the 6 months of bank statement, you want to do a particular transaction, the largest UPI transaction is of 50,000 rupees. So this is where you can keep your eyes that any document which has been attached on Salesforce, it can be leveraged using RAG, and the underwriter can leverage it to do and credit worthiness of the customer. But we do not stop there. We also find that in a segment where the underwriter is doing a PD, in-person PD or a virtual PD, based upon the profile of the customer, he needs to ask different questions so that credit worthiness of that particular applicant will be right. So this is where I've just taken an example of this particular loan application. Is a salaried customer and he is a supervisor. Based upon the category of the customer, the LLM is suggesting what kind of questions the underwriter should ask in the PD so that credit worthiness can be analyzed. So this is where it has suggested few of the questions. If I just change the category to maybe say instead of salaried, it's a self-employed, subcategory is a dairy farmer. Now, what question should be asked to a dairy farmer? It could be a kirana wala, it could be a shop owner. Now, it's going to ask, suggest questions so that underwriter can do the credit worthiness for dairy farming, like how much liters of milk you sell per day, what is the breed of the cattle, so on and so forth. So this is where it can even assist the underwriters in personal discussions. Now, just taking a foot forward, the underwriter has seen the questions. Now it could be an in-person PD where he can record the phone conversation in his mobile, or if it's a virtual PD, it can be done through a CTI. That's where the PD recording, so I won't play the entire recording, but the PD recording which is getting uploaded here, the complete summary of the PD recording is available here along with the transcript. So the other challenge that we found is once the underwriter does the PD, he goes back to the office, he goes to the loan application, updates each and every field related to PD. But again, the autonomous underwriter agent is even saving that time for the underwriter. So what we are doing is the summary which was given from the PD, we are even stamping that summary in the PD form itself. So let me open that up. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just in the interest of time, we could keep going on, and I think there are lots of interesting things to share, but we should probably, pause at this point in time. And I think the key takeaways, at least, from my standpoint, based on what I have seen through this conference is that, we are going to have a lot of agents, in the corporate environment, just like we have a plethora of, apps, right? Apps and mobile apps. I mean, there are literally hundreds of apps that every organization has. I think the day is not very far away when you're going to have hundreds of agents, within your environment, right? Doing all kinds of things, contracting, procurement, sales, marketing, and so on and so forth. And I think it's important to, understand how do we actually go about building them? How do we go about actually, deploying them at scale and doing it in an efficient manner, and also, really monitoring whether those agents are really doing their job so that you have, positive ROI from those investments. So I think what we are seeing here today is, again, a completely low code, no code way of, building those agents, deploying them. You just saw almost like this English language. We don't need any real skills. As long as you know your business well and you know the right questions to ask, and you can think of that idea and a use case, you will be able to build it on Salesforce. So I just want to end with that. You've been really a very kind audience. I'm really grateful for all of you to, for staying back. I hope it was useful. Some of us are around. If you have any further questions, more than happy to address them. But just in the interest of time, I want to end it here. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.